everybody. Happy Sunday. And my co-host, Mr. Smoking Jeremy B. How are you this Sunday afternoon?
Fantastic. Another day this side of the sod and upright.
That's always a good thing, right?
Yep.
And we've got a lot of things happening in the sports world lately. Like it just seems, I don't know, maybe it's always that way, but a lot of big things going on. First topic. Let's talk about Dak because Jerry Jones is talking about him and saying, we don't have to get a contract done. He has 1 year left on his contract.
1 year left at $58.3 million.
Wow. That is just crazy.
And there's no dead cap to it because all his guaranteed money was through the first 4 years of that contract. So the good thing, like if they don't plan on extending him, cut him or trade him. Use that money to build the team because Tyron Smith isn't going to be re-signed now. And he was a cap casualty because they have no money. They might lose. They might have to do something with Micah Parsons. They might have, Leighton Vander Esch has got his health issues that he's always had. And every year you get this, well, are we going to do something with him? Are we going to keep him? Are we going to play him? So they've got a lot of decisions to make. They've got some more contracts that they need to free up money for. $58 million.
They're $4 million over.
Yeah,
right
they're
now.
$4 million over. $58 million. That makes them $54 million under the cap. And lo and behold, after that $18 million in rookie salaries for the draft, oh look, you got enough to sign a key player and get some filled in guys.
And arguably he is coming. He's a 30-year-old and he's coming off one of his best seasons in the regular season.
Yeah,
but it's the postseason. He can't.
Keywords, because Jerry Jones did say last year, this year is the Super Bowl or bust year.
Mm-hmm. They compiled the Cowboys have compiled a 2-5 postseason record with Prescott as the starter. Most recently losing 48-32 to my beloved Packers back in January. They haven't reached the NFC Championship game since the 95 season. That's a long time for the Cowboys. I mean, everybody thinks that they're America's team.
Kudos to the Packers and Jordan Love. He has a better win percentage in the playoff than Dak Prescott. On accident. On accident. You got to admit, because we didn't know what to expect out of the Packers. We talked about it before the season. Yep. But we both were kind of in that middling area, which was right.
Mm-hmm.
We both thought 7 to 10 wins tops.
Yep.
And I said, and it really depends on the Vikings and the Bears and whether or not they can maintain their because the Bears got a tweak better, a game better last year. They got 4 games better this year.
Mm-hmm.
Vikings, on the other hand, who was top of the NFC North last year, had a 6-win loss. They dropped from 13 to 7. And we all knew this would happen because the defense wasn't as talented as the previous year. And I despite the wonderful job that Flores did there, and I'm not taking anything from him at all.
Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting.
I'm trying to think of the polite words to say it, and I almost can't. So I'll just leave it alone. Mm-hmm. You can't make someone who's not good be good. Right. How's that?
That sounds great. I mean, hey, let's face it. The Cowboys are the Cowboys. I mean, there are a lot of people, either you love Zach or you don't, and like we said, there are some quarterbacks that are just really good in the regular season, but for some reason, I think it's their defense gets exposed in the postseason.
Their defense is a lot like Trayvon Diggs was the year he was the interception list leader. They're gamblers. They take big swings to make things happen. And when they hit, they look fantastic. When they miss, oof. As Jackie Gleason would say. Oof.
Yes. Oof. Well, Zach, it remains to be seen whether you'll be signed again or not. To be D. And let's face it, they could trade him, like you said. They could trade him or cut him. That'd be a big salary.
And it almost makes sense. Right out there with a guy you have no expectations on, you gave up very little in a trade for, um, and $58 million is the biggest salary this season for any quarterback, even with all these big signings, because of the
Mhm.
way they backload contracts so that they can keep teams together while these guys are under those huge bloated contracts. At the time when Dak signed, I think Dak was the highest paid quarterback for 1 week, and then all of a sudden Kyler Murray comes up. Here I am.
Mhm. Exactly. Okay, on to our next topic. Inter Miami. We don't talk MLS very often, do we?
It's still a league. No, just kidding.
It is. Well, Inter Miami is down here in my neck of the woods. In fact, they just had new naming rights to the stadium down here in Fort Lauderdale. It is now Chase Stadium. Instead of DRV Pink, it is now Chase Stadium. But the reason why we're going to talk about them, their coach came out and said, we are expecting too much work from our Argentine star, Lionel Messi. What? A coach is saying we're expect too much, working him too hard? Wait. A coach is saying that?
I'm trying to wrap my head around it still. I mean, when you told me this just prior to the show, I'm like, so it's one of two things. Either he's talking about the physical trainers are working him too hard in between games, or he's not very smart.
Well, he said, I feel that in these last two matches, he has expended too much energy, and that is also my responsibility to make sure the team operates in a way that we can use him in the best way. No kidding. Really, that's your job. Your job, I don't know if he was trying to use this for more for motivating the rest of the team, or if he was using it as self-infliction, but yet he was voicing it out to the world. Like, I don't
I,
understand.
I, I I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Like I said,
Me too. I
um,
mean,
I don't get it. Um, you are the coach. You decide how much players play. You decide how much they work out between games. You decide how long they stay on the field. If you know a guy is damn near the crypt keeper of the league, maybe you shouldn't have him on the field for 80 of the 90 minutes. I'm just saying. I
mhm,
understand he's an amazing talent. I understand you
right.
need to score goals to win, but it's also up to you to do the load management of a game. I'm not talking
Mhm,
about management of his season. I'm talking about
right.
in the game. Um, Lionel Messi's the type of guy that you could probably depend on him for 65 to 70 minutes of the game and no problem. Give him a break just before the end of the first half, and then bring him in a few minutes late in the second half. Let him rest a little while longer. Let him get a bigger break in the middle, and you might have better performances out of your older player because they need that better recuperation time in between.
I'd
It's the
agree.
same in the regular workplace. That's the reason why a lot of places went from half-hour lunches to hour lunches.
Mhm.
Let the people rest in the middle, and they get more production out of them in the afternoon.
I agree. I mean, he is a big star, but and we always, well, I shouldn't say all we, and but there are some of us that have been talking about the NBA and their load management. And their load management is not that they sit them for a couple minutes, they sit them for an entire game. Now that is not something I would recommend because you're trying to win all these games. And I don't think that's what he's asking or needs. But you're right. He needs more minutes on the bench, not all the minutes in the game, every game. But he's a professional too.
Right.
Talk to
And
him. Have more, say with him. So and the trainers, how much can his body take? running constantly. I mean, that's a sport where you're running on the field a lot. I mean, the whole game, whenever you're in there.
I mean, look at, even though it was a joke movie and it had to do with the whole year that the NFL players walked out and they used scab players to finish the season, and they made a movie about it called The Replacements with Gene
Replacements.
Hackman
Mm-hmm.
and Keanu Reeves.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why Gene Hackman sounded like a real coach with those things he said is because he went and sat down when John Madden, uh, the guy that was in the show, Jim Haslett, uh, and a couple other actual NFL coaches, and said, "Okay, if it's this situation, what would you say to your team to motivate them? If you got a high strung guy, how would you talk to him?" He wanted to know that so he looked more legit. Um, maybe this guy needs to do that because the way he put that across, it sounded like he's a moron. Uh,
Mm-hmm. I agree.
learn to be a coach. Uh, but at the same time, when it comes to Lionel Messi, he might be taking the Gene Hackman approach, saying winners want the ball.
I
And
agree. I
that's one
agree.
of the things you can't coach out of a player, no matter how good they are, no matter how old they are. You can't coach it out of a player. Hell, I just watched a video where Tom Brady ran a 40 time faster than his combine at 22 years old, and he's 46.
Mm-hmm.
He actually ran a faster time than the guy that ran it yesterday as the slowest time in the quarterback, Spencer Rattler. A 4.95 is what this 22-year-old won. And Tom Brady at 46 years old ran as fast as Jared Goff at 4.8 now.
That is just crazy. That is crazy.
Joshua Bernstein, how you doing, buddy? Smoking Jeremy, what you smoking today? We got a few topics we're going to talk about. Not always going to be close to home, but you know what? They're topics that need to be said.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, and Joshua's down here. We just talked about Inter Miami. That's down here. That's
No. I'm just saying, because this isn't just a better not be crack. I've never smoked crack in my life. Well,
Oh,
I take that back. I do have kids.
we're gonna we're gonna segue over. We're gonna segue over to some basketball topics. And the first basketball topic threw me because I read this the other day and I'm like, what? Davidson women canceled the remainder of their season on Friday because of significant number of injuries that reduced its roster to just a very few available players. The Wildcats, 18-8, had one game left in the regular season against St. Louis on Saturday, which they forfeited. They won't play in any of the tournaments. They are incredibly saddened that they cannot finish out the season and such a strong season. I mean, 18-8, that's a good record.
Yeah.
But they ended their game Wednesday. They only had 7 available players, and they played it because it was senior night. And I think they wanted to go out and at least give the seniors one last game to play. But 7 players on a basketball team left. I'm saddened because, and then I read on here that earlier this year, TCU and Arizona ran into the same situations back in January, and they held open tryouts during the season. I've never heard of that before.
So before we go delve into this topic,
Yes.
one of my buddies came up and said, "What up, JB? Who's the beautiful lady with you today?" That is my publisher's wife, the editor-in-chief of the South Florida Tribune. She's the one that makes my articles hit the web. So much respect for you
Thank you, Brent.
recognizing her, Brent.
Thank you.
Joshua says the heat or fire, and wow is right.
Yep.
That's Mrs. Madmouth. Yes.
Yes. That's funny. Yes.
So, it's a shame because I think men's basketball get like 30 scholarships and 5 to 12 walk-ons for the men's basketball. And evidently this means they don't do the same for the women. Because there is absolutely no way you're telling me that 23 contracted players and 12 practice squad players are sick or hurt at the same time. Unless they're sampling and they're working with the medical division to test out the new Pfizer vaccine. But that's another story.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was just shocked.
So
Staying with college basketball, though, there is a game on right now. So if they're not watching, hopefully they're all watching us, and then they can go back to the game and watch it afterwards because it is on. It's nationally televised on Fox today. It's Iowa versus Ohio State, and Ohio State's ranked higher, but Caitlin Clark is on point or on track to beat the all-time record. She currently has 6 points in the game, and I believe she needed
12 more.
12 more because it was 18, I thought. Yep. So she's already got 6.
You know what, Joshua Burstein, you're exactly right. The Panthers spanked the Red Wings last night. It's not that big a deal, really, because we had a good enough lead up on the 8th place position. We're probably still going to make the playoff. And that's more of what it's about. You guys are the top team in the league. We should expect to lose against the number 1 seed in the regular season.
Mm-hmm. And I think the Red Wings lost their composure yesterday. And I think that's something that a coach has really got to coach them with because, yes, they got spanked. And
we're talking about a second-year coach with a bunch of first-year guys.
Correct. But that's why you play the game, and that's why you have learning experiences. Back to that Iowa game, though, I just want a couple more little points. My 1 point is the average price for that ticket was $459 for this game. The most expensive ticket for this game was $5,956. I bet you the whole league for college revenue for women's basketball, probably not 5,009. I mean, that takes a long time for a program or a school to make that in ticket sales.
Yep. Joshua Burstein, thanks for watching. See you later. Yeah, it's great to hear from you. Kate, wow. I mean, the prices of seats. They always say the sport is for the average fan. When you hear prices at the upper end, which is about a third of the poverty level income, which 55% of America is considered in poverty at how much they make right now.
Mm-hmm.
How is that for the average American? How is, look at your playoff tickets. They triple. The Super Bowl goes double that. So how is that for the average fan? It's why you see a lot of your local star power show up at playoff games because the average fan can't afford it.
Correct.
What was it? 1,802 was the nosebleed seat for the Super Bowl. $1,802. 8 for third level, up against the wall, leaning against the I-beam for the support of that dome.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Like, I can't imagine those prices.
In a little bit, Brent. This is more of a around the world of sports. We're going to cover a little bit of everything. Right now, we did women's basketball. We talked about the prices at the Iowa versus Ohio State at Iowa. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because at Ohio State, you couldn't get those guys to pay that kind of price to go watch Ohio State possibly get beat by Caitlin Clark.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Brent. We appreciate you watching. Yeah, Jeremy, you have your shows, which are strictly pretty much Lions. And here on Fire Up, we touch on all kinds of different topics. And here, especially on Sundays, we kind of talk what we want to talk about. So you brought up something happened the other day. LeBron. Tell me what happened. What did LeBron do now?
Well, let's go to where I think he deserves a little criticism first. Because not very often do you have anything to say bad about somebody at the upper echelon of any sport. As a human being, he's great. But the way he's handled his son in this whole college and the draft thing, he cleared his contract up because he came out and said, whoever's going to draft my son, I want to go play there my last year. So he structured his contract so he can walk out, not cost the team or him any money. That's all fine and dandy. But when your son is playing so bad at the team you gave enough money to, they put him on the roster, that he's a backup player averaging 5 points a game. Um, there's a good chance he could end up being an undrafted free agent.
Mm-hmm.
And if that happens, which I think would be the better situation for LeBron, he needs some development.
Mm-hmm.
If he's signed to that walk-on player, he doesn't have to have a big agent that takes a percentage of his money. He can let his family be his agent who's been in the business and have their own business
Mm-hmm.
and go straight to the G League and not be the center of attention.
Right.
But to offer to put that pressure on an 18-year-old going on 19-year-old kid like LeBron did, and then he comes out and tells everybody back off his son because he's having a bad time right now. Let him just play and be in college. You ruin that by setting the expectations you did for him.
Yep.
In other words, sometimes it's better to be thought a fool than open your mouth and put your foot in it and remove all doubt.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let your son be him. I mean, he's already gonna have pressure just being your son. Like everybody's gonna compare and say, "How good are you?" Like you already have a level of expectation that people are putting on you without you as a dad coming out and saying stuff like that. Like, don't let him be him.
Yep.
But LeBron did something yesterday.
And I'm going to put it into perspective before somebody poo-poos it because it's an amazing feat.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron is the first player in NBA history over his 21-year career, 40,000 points. We're not talking, he already passed Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to become the scoring leader, and Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. All those guys kept falling off one after the other every year. And
Yep.
we saw him hit the record finally last year, and now he hit this benchmark. And let's put it into perspective. He's had 2 Hall of Fame careers in the same career. His first 10 year, he had 22,000 points. In the last 11 years, he's had 18,993 points.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put it into more perspective. If you wanted to score 40,000 points, pick any spot on the floor where you think you could hit 100% of your shots. You have to take 20,000 20,000 shots from that spot on the floor consecutively for 17 straight hours without a miss. If you miss, rest, go start over.
Mm-hmm.
It takes 17 hours to make that many shots in a row. Just to take. So in other words, you have to go 20,000 for 20,000 to get it done in the minimum amount of time.
Ironically, I was reading he scored with the Miami Heat 7,919 points. With Cleveland, it was 23,119, and now with the Lakers, 8,980. That's a lot of points. With all of them. And to have a career as long as he has.
And still being effective. He's averaging 25 points a game per year these last couple of years or more.
Mm-hmm.
Or more is the key.
Right. I don't care what any. I'm sorry.
He's got the help to do what he wants to do, but he shouldn't have put that pressure on his son, is all I want to say.
I agree. I mean, whether you like LeBron personally or not, whether you like his antics outside of his game, that's not what we're just debating here. We're just talking about his level of play still and hitting 40,000. And of course, the whole with his son that, yeah, I don't get that, but it is what it is. Jeremy, you want to talk a little Lions? Because it looks like, is undone, and everybody loves hearing Lions stuff from you.
Well, there was some interest earlier in the week with the Lions interested in trading for L'Jarius Sneed until the medical report came out that he had something lingering with his knee and may miss the first 4 games of the season. And he also said he wanted to reset the cornerback market and be the highest paid one, which he wants to make more. He wants to make more than Jalen Ramsey, who makes $19.5 million a year. So that report came out actually on Saturday, is undone, about the Lions interested in trading for L'Jarius Sneed, happened on Wednesday. So it's all been covered up by the whole draft news. Jonah Jackson is expected to make about $16 million to an open market. The guard market's going to go crazy. No, your mid-tier guys are still going to be your 7 to 10 million guys. It's what it's always been. That's your rank and file, your average starter salary in the NFL. The top players always make more. The bottom feeders always make less. It averages out every time to where that 7 to 10 is the mid-range. So, yeah, but your top tier guards, like everybody thought they were going to get the guy that just left Miami and be able to get him at a discount. If Jonah Jackson, yes, he's been an All-Pro and a Pro Bowler in his career on a rookie contract, is going to make $16 million. You better be able to bulk up that paycheck to get the other guy who's technically the best guard in free agency right now. Tyron Smith of Dallas Cowboys is expected to be cut as a cap casualty. Things I have all talked about. $58 million contract in the last year of a contract where you got to debate on cutting a quarterback who has great regular season production, but you need the cap room.
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
So,
well,
it's undone. Love you, brother. I thank you. I've been paying attention to it, but I also paid attention to medical reports that followed 2 days after, and I'm like going, oh, maybe not. That's why you'll probably see him go after a free agent guy. Brad Holmes is not the one to throw a bunch of top picks at a player. It was Les Snead of the Rams that did all that trading of the first round picks. The only year he agreed to it was the year that Jalen Ramsey became available on trade, because there wasn't a good corner in that draft.
Do you think Chicago keeps the first pick, or do you think they trade him?
There's been so much smokescreen about whether they're going either way. We don't know. We don't know what Ryan Poles is thinking. Is he an evil genius? Or is he, like most of the Bear fans, delusional? We don't know. I personally think they came out and said they're going to build around Fields. I think they've been blowing up this smokescreen to get as much interest in that first pick to get Caleb or Drake. And they're going to take a boatload of picks and move back. I think that's really what's going to happen. They're going to be, because think about it, it's not their pick, it's Carolina's. They can say, have one pick at the top of the draft, or get 3.
Who do you think will trade up to get it? Who will give up the most, do you think?
Well, think about it. The Commanders are second right now. They can sit where they're at and take whoever the other team doesn't. Patriots is one. Cardinals are trying to get out of 4, but they don't really want to get a quarterback because they got 2 more years where they're dead cap locked into Kyler Murray. Oh, that was a great contract. But I think it's Atlanta. Because if Atlanta's not trading for Fields, they'll want to move up to 1 and be able to get who they want. And they have the draft capital and the cap room to do so without it hurting them.
There you go. Jeremy, any other topics you want to bring besides your parting shot?
Man, I talked about it last night for my day 3 combine review, but we have a NFL combine record holder at 4.21 confirmed second 40 time in Xavier Worthy. And before you all say, oh, he's tiny and small, you need to go watch his game film. One of the things he likes to do is catch that short screen or slant pass and run so hard he bowls over safeties at goal line. So he runs like Tyreek Hill because there's no one else you can say that runs like that officially that's been clocked at the combine.
Mm-hmm.
He bowls over guys like he's 6'1" at 5'11". And wow, it's amazing.
I've heard there's been a number of good performances at the combine this year. And then there's been some people that have not withdrawn from actually performing at the combine because they're waiting for their NFL what is it called? I can't. Their scout day. Their scout day with NFL teams. So
Yeah, the interview day.
Correct. I think it'll be interesting, this draft class coming out. I think there could be some really good hidden gems besides some good ones. You just never know.
Well, Florida State had it rich with the defensive prospects showing out this week. You had Braden Fiske, quite possibly, according to all the RAS scores by Ken Platt, the math bomb who developed that system. Braden Fiske, the defensive tackle, looks almost as good as Aaron Donald relative athletic score. And a 4.7840 for a 300-pounder is unheard of. Then you had Jared Verse, who did nothing flawless, but did everything right. He didn't. He made himself look as that solid one or two of the edge rushers in this draft. But Braden Fiske was considered a third or fourth round pick prior to the combine. Probably not anymore. He probably slid his way up into the second round, is what I'm thinking. You know, I don't know if he moved up into that upper echelon like Brian Murphy and Jerzon Newton.
Mm-hmm.
But Jerzon Newton recovering from an injury and not able to perform at the combine, and as good as Byron Murphy of Texas looked, he may have become the number 2 defensive tackle prospect because of it. Because game film is game film. You can't change game film. Game recognizes game. And
Right.
he is a game record defensive tackle. Make no bones about it.
Mm-hmm.
But the way people perform, because there's a certain drill that means more than anything. And a lot of people think it's that 4-bag drill. No, that shows a lot of good change of direction if they move their feet, pump their arms, if they're a hard worker. It's that run the hoop where they set the 2 hoops up and they got 2 towels out there and they have to go around the corner, pick up one, run around the other way, drop it off, pick up the other one and run back around and then go all the way in the opposite direction. And when you see 290 to 300-pound guys do that gracefully, I find that amazing because you got to be going full tilt. You got so much time to do it. And I really think that drill needs to be put into that RAS score. Because I think a lot of these guys that were borderline because they weren't the fastest guys out there, but they're putting up average numbers, would have better scores on it if they track that drill, because that one means the most because it shows the bend they have. And where bend is important is defensive ends and defensive tackles, because leverage is how you break blocking, and you got to get low to do it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Caitlin's down to, she only needs 4 left to break the record, just for everybody.
And it's still the first quarter?
It is. We are in the second quarter. Only 3:31 left in the second quarter. Iowa's up 38-32.
Congratulations to her. And anybody that's going to tell her, well, Pete Maravich only did it here and he didn't have the 3 ball and he didn't have this and he didn't have that. I don't care. Yes, she's playing a year longer than him. Yes, she's had an amazing career. Let's see what she does at the professional level. That's all I got to say. Let her have her laurels.
Oh yeah, exactly. And the fact that she's brought attention back to women's hoop it's really great. I mean, it's it's her sport. It's a sport she loves. She plays it well. Let her have her moment. Just like we let LeBron have his 40,000 points. Let them have their moments. Their
And
accomplishments.
the other thing I want to say about it before we go any further, Caitlin Clark's a great story. Yes, she doesn't have all those team successes the other greats before her have, but do not poo-poo on her individual performance. But I did hear one guy who's the casual WNBA fan, if there's no baseball game or whatever, he might be flying by. He goes, every now and then I'll stop and watch, but to him, the WNBA is unwatchable. And I was like, because they actually play fundamentally sound, boring basketball. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have the high flyers. You don't have all that other bull rot going on. When they take a three, they're actually almost always open for the three because they're
Right.
moving the ball. What's coached into these players that become individuals. The one
They
and
play
done is the
defense.
worst thing they did to basketball.
I agree. I agree. Well, parting shots. Are you ready?
When you had me say the Lions news, I kind of broke it all. I did all my parting shots in one
Really?
shot.
Okay. My parting shot comes from yesterday. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to be on the court to photograph the FAU men's basketball versus Tulane basketball, college men's basketball game. And I was shocked, appalled, and really upset with the referees because they never said anything to the Tulane men's basketball head coach, who was practically on the court the whole entire first half. In fact, I was so shocked because I'm like, one of the FAU men's basketball players went up to the referee and said, wait a minute, you're giving them a 6 defensive man because he's in our way when we're trying to, on offense, trying to shoot baskets. And I'm like, why is that not a foul? Why are they not calling it?
It
They're
is a
supposed to
foul.
be.
It is a
It
foul.
is.
Yeah.
I know. I read it. I read up on it afterwards, and I'm like, why did they not say anything? Or, I mean, they should put a foul, make them sit on the bench, because
It's
I think that's what they get if they get a foul on it.
the first time it's a technical foul. He doesn't have to sit on the bench. It comes with the warning. But FAU should have had the ball after a free throw where it's a 1-and-1. If the guy makes it, he makes another one, then they get the ball back. That is the penalty for that. The second time, he has to sit down and not get up. If he gets up, he's ejected from the game. But at the same time, if the second technical happens on the coach, they lose a player at that time. So he hurts his bench as well as hurting his team. But the refs not calling that, it's egregious. It's almost as egregious as when somebody gets mugged going for a pass as a wide receiver and a corner wipes them out before the ball even gets there and they don't
Mm-hmm.
throw a flag. That's just as egregious of a penalty.
And I was reading online that there have been numerous games where officials have not said anything to the head coaches. And I don't know what they think, if they think the head coaches make so much more money that they can do this, but come on, a rule is a rule. And ironically, of course, the coach wasn't on the floor as much in the second half because that's where his team was on offense. And I'm just like, there's got to be something done to keep everybody under control. We all talk about court storming the court, and we can't have that. Well, we also can't have coaches that think they're bigger than the league or bigger than the rules and don't have to follow them.
Yeah. I, with basketball, there's less of an offense and defense type of thing. It's an ebb and flow. But
Right.
when the ebb and flow is in your favor and you don't do it, it looks petty.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I'll agree with that. So the ebb and flow of the second half was more towards Tulane, correct? Is what you're getting at?
Well, because at each half they switch where you're on offense. So when the first half, where the Tulane sat was
Right.
on the offensive side for FAU, and then obviously it switches. So then he was on the side where Tulane had the ball, and that was their offensive side. And when they were on offense on their side, he would sit down more, or
Of
he
course he
wasn't
would.
in their way. But
Of
he
course he
was
would.
in the way of FAU, and that's sad.
That's something is those done and got away with a lot at Michigan State, and that's due to his notoriety within the NCAA. Rick
Mm-hmm.
Pitino used to do it at Louisville all the time. Uh, Bill Self has done it with that Kansas radio was with her for the long time. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you got to look at it. It's all over the league, and it's more your big name guys or your upper tier guys of any division that gets that leeway. And Tulane has been in the tournament a little bit more than FAU, so
Mm-hmm.
he might be that type of coach in that division. It still doesn't make it right.
Correct. Correct. Treat everybody the same. Well, Jeremy, this has been a great show. Let's let everybody know how they can get a hold of you and subscribe to your channel and where they can find you and all that good stuff.
Well, I know Brenton is Undone knows how to find me on my channel. So because they came in the chat, thank you for the support, brothers. Uh, but you can find me right here on any of the fire ups on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel, occasionally on Inside the Pigskin. Who knows where else Scott may need me, but I go there if he needs me. You can also find me on the webpage, southfloridatribune.com, under the Motor City Tribune heading, where you'll see me underneath this lovely lady's husband's writings. She
Yep.
does all the pictures for us.
Mm-hmm.
I like this is a more well-rounded sports show. I can't be as flagrant or as um vocabulary expanded as I am on my show. Because this is more about the professional side of things. So I try to scale back. I try not to do all my wonderful, wonderful little colloquialisms I do on my channel, which is kneecap biting with the Motor City Lions. If you want to see that, every Wednesday night, I actually cover the whole NFL. I go for the top 3 stories in the NFL. So I talk to fans of every team. I do that one show a week because, hey, it's fun. And you can also find me on Twitter at Smoking Jeremy V. You can find me on Instagram at Smoking Jeremy V1. You can find me on Facebook right here underneath my name. There's my name, so you can find it, Joshua Burstein. I actually use my real name so you can see it. And you can also find me at Facebook, Motor City Kneecap Biters, Lions Villain Squad. I do 8 shows a week on my show, a minimum of 3 shows a week with Candy and Scott. So, yeah, I'm a busy man.
You are. We keep you busy, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
So, everyone, this is South Florida Tribune. If you see that red subscribe button, that means you haven't subscribed to us. And I'm asking you, why haven't you subscribed to us yet? Please subscribe, like, share us, share, tell everybody about it. We cover all kinds of things. I can honestly, I'm going to quick stop and say Caitlin Clark did officially break the record. So it is done. That's awesome. She has 18 points as of right now. They're going into the halftime. But anyways, back to www.southfloridatribune.com. That's where you can find our website. You can find writings of Jeremy, George Eichhorn, my husband Scott. We get all kinds of press releases from the Dolphins, the Jaguars, the Lions. We put up quotes. We put up, let's see, FAU sends us stuff, USF, you name it. All local colleges, the Gators send us stuff. Who else? Nova University sends us stuff. We get stuff from the Marlins. Yes, Jeremy?
I wanted to ask, what was that first team you said where we get quote sheets from the some of the pressers and stuff. What was that first team you
Miami
mentioned?
Dolphins.
No, I'm sorry, the other one that matches this color right about here.
The Lions.
Yeah, I wanted to say something about that. When I say I have inside information, it's because I'm reading into what they actually say out at Allen Park when they're in those pressers. That's my inside information. I do not have a source. I do not have a guy standing in there going, "Hey, Brad Holmes said this today." No, I get a quote sheet that I get to read, and it goes right to the periodical that I write for. So if you want to know what I know, read them.
Exactly. My husband Scott, he writes for it. I take pictures. So like yesterday, we were at the FAU men's basketball game. We will be looking at some Miami Marlins games coming up. I know Scott's going next Saturday to the FAU. It's their last home game of the season. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to work my real job, so I will not be there to accompany him on Saturday, but that's what life is all about, right? You got to pay for the bills and stuff.
Next Saturday, not a good day for you.
It's okay. It's okay. But yeah, Scott, my husband, wrote a book. The picture is above Jeremy's. It's Lessons from the Microphone, tuning into the enduring wisdom of visionary leaders. Basically, he wrote about his time in the media over the last 44 years. Interviews. He talks about who he's interviewed. Some of the best interviews, sports broadcasters, sports personnel, how the media has changed over the years. Now we're on social media. We're doing YouTube. You know, we used to turn into the TV or radio all the time. Well, now we got YouTube these days. I appreciate everybody that was in the chat today. This has been a really fun episode. You can always hear our broadcast on wherever you get your podcast as well. Don't forget that. Trying to think, Jeremy, have I forgotten anything? Because, you know, it's Sunday.
But we do have about 6 or 7 or 8 guys here that popped in and made little comments. Starting with what's going on, Smoking Jay. Hi, what's going on, Joshua? Smoking Jay, rip a dart. Blake, you smoking? You know, I just want to get him out because he's been a subscriber for months now. Best Lions content on YouTube. And the reason why he thinks it's the best is because I do exactly what I just did.
Mm-hmm.
You make sure you interact with the fans because without the fans, this show is nothing.
Correct.
The viewers, the subs, the likes, it all matters. So if you have other sports fans that you want to check out the shows that you like and you like the content we provide, please share them with them. Share them into the groups you're with those guys. We want you in the chat. We want to address you. So please join us. Watch us. You know, sometimes we actually have some insightful stuff to say, and other times it's just a lot of fun reporting the news. Because if you report the news the way the news is supposed to be reported, it's less opinion and more fact.
Well, and if you comment enough times, you never know, you might even be asked to be on a show. We've gotten some of our guests from people that were in the chat room. Or if you would rather stay in the chat room, you can stay in the chat room. But we love the interaction. We love talking with people. That's what we're doing. That's Jeremy, you and I never knew each other. How many, going back?
But look, this is our second year of working together off and on. It's been more regular this last 6 months, I think it's been.
Yep.
But
ever since Scott really gave me the fire up show and said it was really mine. Yeah. We've been working together on it a good 6 months, I would say.
And I like the chemistry we built. I think we have a good chemistry. We're a little more laid back, a little different than what Scott runs. But you know what? It's still a structured show. It still goes well, and we interact so well with our people.
We do. I do. And I love all the people that came in today. I appreciate all of you guys. Joshua, Brent, let's see who else is Undone, Blake, all of you guys. If you guys weren't coming on, we wouldn't have a show to do because really we would just be talking amongst ourselves.
We
So
did
we
we did
appreciate
have
it.
that one show where we didn't get a person until, like, the last 2 minutes of the show, and it was so boring
I
because it went
know.
it went so fast, you know?
It did. It did.
But at the same time, sometimes it's good to have the fast, quick shows. Um,
Yes.
but it isn't fun without fans. That's all I'm getting
Correct. Oh, I
at. So,
agree. I agree. We're here for them. Oh, and here, Ralph
Ralph,
Williams, too. Ralph, I got your message. Ralph normally does fire up with us on Thursday nights. He was on vacation this past week. Lucky for him. But we will be welcoming him back with open arms on Thursday night. Never know what we're going to talk about because let's face it, we talk sports, but normally we talk what's really happening right then and there. And let's face it, there's 4 more days between now and then, so you never know what we might be talking about. But
by accident, my Giants co-host is actually from Pennsylvania, so we got more Pennsylvania sports news. It was great. It was like you never left.
exactly. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Ralph, for joining us and being in the chat room. We appreciate it because, like I said, he normally comes on Thursday nights. And one other thing I will leave everybody with: please subscribe to our channel, but also subscribe to the channels of everybody that is on our channels too. Because without Jeremy, he has his own channel that he likes to grow, and we want to grow together. So grow us, grow Jeremy, support both. Well, Jeremy, it's been a great Sunday so far. Looking forward to the rest of the day and what the week holds in front of us. You want to end your way that you always do?
Yeah, I was just going to ask. You want me to do my tagline?
I
Try
sure
every day
do.
to try every day to be a better person than you were the day before, because that's the only way to make the world a better place. It starts in here. Much love, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, everyone.
I'll see all of the guys on my channel tomorrow. Because it's Monday. I do 2 shows.
There you go.